Everyone tells you to pick one thing, one career, one direction, one answer you can give when someone asks what you do. But maybe you've tried that, and every time you choose something, the same pattern begins. You become obsessed. You learn unusually fast. For a few months, you think, this is it. Then the excitement disappears, and almost perfectly on time, something new finds you. So here's an uncomfortable question. What if you don't have too many interests? What if you're addicted to being a beginner? Because the moment we usually quit reveals far more than the thing we quit. Imagine learning guitar. At first, it occupies your entire mind. You watch tutorials while eating. You read about equipment you don't need. Songs begin sounding different because, for the first time, you understand how they're built. Progress is everywhere. Yesterday, you couldn't play a chord. Today, you can. Then the gaps between breakthroughs get longer. You know the basics. The terminology isn't mysterious anymore. And instead of learning 10 things in one afternoon, you spend an entire week struggling with one problem. Then something else catches your attention. Photography, psychology, programming. Suddenly, your brain is awake again. New videos, new ideas, new possibilities. And the guitar gets quieter. The course stays at 63%. The project folder hasn't been opened in weeks. After enough cycles, these things stop looking like old interests. They start looking like evidence. Maybe I can't commit. Maybe I lack discipline. Maybe I never finish anything. There is a term often used for people who develop strong interests across different fields: multipotentialite. It isn't a diagnosis, and it doesn't mean you're secretly more intelligent than everyone else. It simply describes a pattern some people recognize immediately. For them, discovery is intensely rewarding. An unfamiliar subject contains hundreds of unanswered questions. Every hour changes what you understand. Connections appear quickly. You can almost feel your mind expanding. But then, the obvious discoveries run out. The tutorials stop producing breakthroughs, and you enter a strange stage. You're no longer a beginner, but you're nowhere near good. This is where curiosity becomes difficult to understand, because curiosity has an imitation, avoidance, and from inside your own mind, they can feel almost identical. Think about the moment you usually abandon something. Is it when you've genuinely learned enough? Or is it when progress stops rewarding you quickly? There is a stage in almost every skill where someone stops showing you the next step. You understand the basics. Now you have to make decisions alone. Your work becomes easier to judge. Your weaknesses become specific, and improvement becomes painfully slow. Strangely, this is often when a new obsession appears, and the new thing feels incredible. Not necessarily because it's right for you, but because it has no history of failure attached to it. You haven't created embarrassing work yet. You haven't discovered your limitations. You haven't spent 6 months trying only to realize someone else is still better. Everything is still possible. So leaving feels intelligent. Maybe this wasn't my thing. Maybe I finally found the right path. Maybe I should start over. Sometimes that's true. But sometimes you've simply returned to the only stage of learning where you always feel talented: the beginning. Beginners improve quickly. Beginners are allowed to be bad, and beginners can imagine becoming exceptional without having tested that belief against difficult work. So maybe you aren't addicted to learning. Maybe you're addicted to possibility. Curiosity says, there is something here I need to understand. Avoidance says, there must be something better somewhere else. The problem is that avoidance rarely sounds afraid. It sounds ambitious. It arrives as a better plan, a smarter career, a more exciting project, a field with more opportunity. And every new beginning gives you the feeling of movement, even when your life is standing still. That's how someone can spend years being extremely busy and have almost nothing finished. 100 interests, 100 plans, 100 folders named Final Project. Nothing strong enough to carry their life. But the solution isn't forcing yourself to choose one thing forever. That advice is too simple. Some people genuinely think across different fields. A person who studies design learns to notice attention. Programming teaches systems and dependencies. Psychology changes how you interpret behavior. Storytelling teaches how information is revealed and remembered, and when ideas from different fields begin crossing, something interesting happens. A principle from one subject solves a problem in another, not because every interest was part of a perfect plan. Most weren't, but your mind carried something from each one. The question is whether you're collecting interests or connecting them, because 5 shallow skills don't automatically create one extraordinary person. Depth still matters. You have to stay somewhere long enough to become capable, long enough to work after the excitement disappears, long enough to create something that exists outside your imagination. A project, a body of work, a skill someone can actually rely on. You don't have to promise one field your entire life, but before leaving, ask yourself one question. Did I finish what I came here to build? Or did I leave because the beginner phase ended? The answer may be uncomfortable. Good. Your unfinished projects are data. Look at where you stopped. Was it when the subject became useless? Or when the work became difficult? Look at what keeps appearing underneath your interests. Maybe the subjects seem completely unrelated. Design, psychology, storytelling, code. But perhaps you're drawn to the same thing in all of them. Building systems, explaining difficult ideas, understanding behavior, turning chaos into something clear. The subjects change, the underlying attraction stays. That pattern may tell you more about your direction than searching for one perfect passion. But there is still one requirement. You have to stay. Not forever, just long enough for something to become real. Stay through the stage where progress becomes quiet. Stay when tutorials stop helping. Stay when the fantasy of being great is replaced by evidence of how average you currently are. Build anyway. Then, if curiosity eventually pulls you somewhere new, you won't leave with another empty folder. You'll leave with something finished, something learned deeply enough to carry into the next room. Having many interests won't make you extraordinary, and choosing one identity won't automatically give you direction. What matters is whether your curiosity creates connections or merely creates exits. Maybe you were never meant to fit inside one box, but if you're going to build bridges between different worlds, you still have to stay long enough to reach the other side.